Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben.
And I'm John, and this is our Holiday Mixer 2020 Zoom Edition.
Frosty the Perfect, in a trench coat he did go to the schoolyard to expose his dick and balls made out of snow.
So everyone is here, hosts, guests, chuggers, etc. All roles, big or small. We have everyone who's ever been on the show with us here today to celebrate the holidays, talk about our favorite holiday movies, and celebrate putting an end to this piece of shit of a year. How is everyone doing?
Awesome.
Nice. We have, obviously, Joanne with us, Josh with us, Bob back, who hasn't been on in almost 2 years. We miss him. Of course, Devin, Monette, who we haven't seen in a couple years, who was our first and only musical guest. And then, of course, we have Mark, frequent regular, and Brian. We just wanted to bring everybody together this holiday season because this year has sucked. There's really no need for me and John to just talk about one movie and just do a thing in the studio. So why not get everybody together that's ever contributed to the show that we love so much on it, talk about what holiday movies are to them, and then talk about what their favorite holiday movies are. So I'm going to go around this little panel here. Start with Joanne. What kind of stuff makes a good holiday movie?
Basically, it just has to make me happy. Makes me feel good, gets me in the holiday spirit. It could be anything from, romantic comedy to just kids, having fun, silly humor. Anything to it's just like a feel-good movie is what I want, really.
A Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Mario Lopez movie.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What about you, Josh?
For me, it's got to be like all those movies that I enjoyed as a kid.
I love movies that remind me of Christmas with my cousins and aunts and uncles back at Grandma and Grandpa's house back in the day, like trying to fall asleep or try to stay up all night and just, stuff we would watch then on repeat. And, that the whole family, we've got all the memes and all the quotes and stuff, those are things. And I'm going to plug mine early.
To me, it's all about the colors. I love a good, colorful Christmas movie because they're my favorite colors anyway. So, I'll decorate my house even if no one's going to step foot in it the entire season just because I love the colors. They're warm. And I like something that's really funny. I mean, there's dark Christmas movies that are fine, but funny and colorful for me.
Music has a lot to do with it for me. I think, if it can set the right tone, I kind of agree with Joanne. I like the cheerful comedies and stuff at the holidays. I also agree with Josh. It's those movies that bring you back to your childhood. Very nostalgic for many of the 80s Christmas movies. And it's almost like anything new that's Christmas doesn't really make its mark the way those classics do. So, there's just certain classics that will always be perfect at this time of year. And really just a movie that puts you in the spirit, the holiday spirit.
I echo kind of what everyone else has mentioned. It's like, the feel-good time of the holiday. Definitely childhood, me being like in really into animation and illustration. I especially love a lot of the older animated classics that took place during the time of year, even though my upcoming pick is probably anything but that or one of my favorites. But I just love stuff like that. You can just watch anytime, right? From a child all the way to an adult, and it just takes you back, and you can share with your when you have kids, when you have nieces and nephews, and everyone can sit around and just partake in the holiday cheer.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with Josh on this one. I'm all about the nostalgia. I like those older movies that just resonate with you throughout life. And whenever you watch them, it takes you right back to where you were when you were a kid watching them. To me, that's a classic Christmas movie. As John alluded to, newer modern Christmas movies just don't hit the mark these days, for me anyway. And so I'm really a fan of the nostalgic Christmas movies, those older movies, even the animated ones from the 50s and 60s, the claymation movies. That stuff I love, man. It just, when you're a kid, Christmas is this magical thing, and when you grow up, the dream is gone. But these movies, though,
And so are the gifts half the time too.
but these
Man,
movies
that's
we grew up
good.
with, they take us back to that dream. Though.
I also like movies that remind me of my childhood. I love a good musical. Wow, my cat is crazy. I actually,
Whoa, your cat is
Where's
ambitious.
he going?
she is 6 months old, by the way.
Spider cat. It's Spider cat.
Yeah.
Is that
She had
peppercorn?
her surgery last week.
Is that peppercorn?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
That's an awesome name for a cat.
Thank you.
Especially Black Cat.
So I love a Christmas musical. Love it. All the old time ones are much better than the ones. Although I won't, I do love a good Mariah Carey at Christmas time. But I also love movies that I can sit on the couch, veg out in my pajamas in. And I don't care if it's Christmas related, but it's the idea of just being in the tradition of watching a movie that, like a good popcorn movie, a good action flick, something like that we can watch with the family. So
what about you? Okay over there, Brian?
He's walking around, maybe.
You're starting to look like one of the stop motion animated movies.
Like
Yeah, I had to move because my children are annoying me.
our children.
Ones that involve Halloween, or involve or have Zoe Deschanel in them.
Yeah, no, there's kind of a common thread there, right? Like a lot of nostalgia because maybe they're just not quite as good now. Though I argue Harold and Kumar Christmas is going to be classic later on. It's 9 years old now, but it'll be a timeless classic eventually.
And I'd say Bad
Like
Santa
in
2.
40 years.
Bad Santa 2 is
Santa.
another great comedy.
Yeah, Bad Santa 2 is an underrated comedy. Just because it's not as good as the first one doesn't mean it's not still good. Okay, so let's get into our favorites then, shall we? Joanne, you went first aboard the Starship fucking Enterprise or wherever you're at. Why don't you go ahead and give us your favorite and tell us why?
Well, like most people probably have multiple favorites, but the one I wanted to talk about was The Holiday with Jack Black.
Oh,
And,
not bad.
you know,
movie.
obviously I love Jack Black, but that's just a really great movie. I hadn't watched it since the theater, and I started rewatching it again before this review. I'm about halfway through. And yeah, it's just a really good movie, and it's an example of a, you know, not an old classic, but it's a really good holiday movie. It just makes you feel good. I think it one of the reasons I like it is because you can kind of travel. You can put yourself in their place. You know, they swap houses between LA and England. So it just makes you feel like you've traveled to England and you're in a new place and see it from the other point of view too. And it's a good comedy and it feels good to watch.
Yeah, and Jack Black gets Kate Winslet in that movie.
Yes.
Good pick. That's a good pick. I watched that movie about 2 years ago for the first time.
Yeah, I wrote it off as like schmaltzy and never really wanted to revisit it, so maybe I should.
Okay, so your question made me think about this. I'm going way back. I'm going to 1938.
Oh, I know what this is.
Yeah, A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, it's great.
Everyone has their favorite version of the Christmas Carol from 1935 up to like Scrooge. That's the one my grandfather would always watch. He looked forward to that every Christmas. And I remember as a little kid watching the black and white. I don't remember the names of the actors, but it's so theatrical back then. And it's not a happy movie. At the end it is, but
Well, it wasn't a happy story originally.
yeah.
I saw that movie a few years ago, the 38 one, for the second or third time. It's the best one. I agree. Like,
Whoa, what about Scrooged?
I don't count Scrooge because I'm going to say the best one called A Christmas Carol.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You'll
can't
shoot
guess.
your eye out. I mean, come on. It's just like, it reminds me of my other really favorite Christmas movie, which is Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Just the whole little town when they're having the parade and everything. And they just remind me of each other. It's like little Whoville, little middle Americana, you know, type of thing. And it's just a really fun little story about just a kid getting his favorite toy. But it's really more just a slice of life, you know, and it's just kind of takes you back to that time and place where maybe you can beat up the bully and get your favorite toy for Christmas. And like, that's the biggest deal in the world, So yeah, just a classic movie. I mean, I can go on about it forever, but one of these scenes right here behind me where the poor kid's got to wear the stupid suit that his aunt made for him, and I don't know, just so many just perfect little moments, but a lot of fun.
That's the one that really puts you in the seat of an actual kid and how they feel on Christmas morning. And like, as Devin said earlier, like the further and further you get detached from those feelings and become dead inside, like you no longer really relate to the kid. But when you're a kid, you're feeling that exact same thing every Christmas morning that he does, the disappointment because you didn't get what you wanted and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just love the format of it, of having the older narrator. This was, I think, what inspired the Wonder Years, that TV show, where it's just someone like telling stories about their childhood, but it hadn't really been done before. I mean, I'm sure it'd been done before, but that format, it really kind of lends itself, I think, to just drawing you into your own memories and just kind of prompting you for that. So I think it's also really nice to have that older narrator talking about the the lore from when these are going up and stuff. But
was that movie narrated by the author?
I have no clue.
I think it was.
Could be.
I don't know. But whatever the voice is, it's perfect. I mean, it's so insightful too. Like as Ben was saying, we all grow up and become adults and are dead inside, so we can't connect to the childlike wonder of Christmas every time we want to. But that film brings it out. Like I watched it. That's actually a new, somewhat favorite. I think it's moved up closer to the top of my list. It's not my top pick, but I watched it with my wife, who at the time I proposed to her moments after we finished watching the movie. So it's kind of a special, sentimental film for us. I think we're going to watch it again this year, and revisiting it after so many years, because I avoid it on TV. It's overplayed, and I like to sit down and watch a movie from beginning to end and really give it my focus, not just kind of have it on in the background. And that's what people treat that movie like.
Yeah,
and it's the definition
movie. Yeah.
It's the definition of overplayed, and they literally play it for like 45 hours straight.
Yeah, straight, or over and over.
Yeah.
I have a two-way tie. I just could not pick one. So, like I said, there's no cheating. It doesn't matter. But my first half of my favorite Christmas duo is probably not the most exciting pick, but Christmas Vacation. Me and John did 40 minutes on it last year for our holiday special, so I don't need to gush over it all over again. But I worship Christmas Vacation from 1989 to 2020. I never get sick of it. It's not like you find new things in it every time, even though you can look for new things and follow other people's storylines if you want to. Sometimes I watch this movie multiple times in December. It's got my childhood feeling. It's got the antics of the Griswolds. And then the movie shifts, like we said last year, into kind of cousin Eddie's movie. You name it. It's the perfect Christmas movie. I mean, everything is there, like cutting down the tree, the relatives coming over, putting up the lights, Christmas Eve. It has all that stuff. The Scroogey boss. And it has really a unique Christmas soundtrack. I don't know why Hip Hip Hooray for Christmas Vacation did not become more of a Christmas classic. It's never played on Coast 103.5, those fucks. Like, I listen to that every year waiting to hear the Griswold Christmas Vacation song, and it's never there.
They only
I
have
don't know why they don't like that
there,
song.
that's why.
What?
They only play 20 songs.
Yeah, no, they really do. They play the same song. And then the second half this is where I couldn't make up my mind, because it's on the other end of the spectrum as far as Christmas movies, and it's Bad Santa. Because Bad Santa it's kind of the anti-Christmas Vacation. It's everything that Christmas Vacation isn't, but it still has heart deep inside there. And even as we were saying before, like, it starts the story of Thurman and Willie, where the second one continues, and it's actually a deeper story. And as you get older and you watch the movie more and more and more times, you realize that stuff is the core of the film, not just the crass, like, ugly nature of the character and everything that's happening, which is just it's hilarious. It's one of the funniest movies of all time. So.
I have a question for you. Hey, Griswold, where are you going to put a tree that big?
Bend over and I'll show you.
You got a lot of nerve talking to me that way, Griswold.
I wasn't talking to you. John.
Well, Ben, I'm going to follow up because I have the same pick as you, Christmas Vacation. I think we both said it in our review last year that it really is the number one Christmas movie, I think, for both of us. As you said, it really just, it has everything. It hits every mark for a Christmas movie. It hits every mark. I think I mentioned how it skewers all the Christmas traditions better than any other movie. Just the cast, amazing cast. The way the music is used in that movie, that was one of the reasons why I feel like those certain movies that when the music kicks in, it really puts you in the mood, and that's one of those ones that does it perfectly. But I, like you, Ben, are torn. I'm going to go with Christmas Vacation as my number one, but it's hard not to agree that the best Christmas movie, the best movie out of any movie ever made that is a Christmas movie is Die Hard. But Die Hard is not the best Christmas movie. It's just the best movie out of any movie you could call a Christmas movie.
That's movie set during Christmas.
Great.
I kind of have both of those at the top, but really Die Hard's the best action movie. Die Hard's the best of many things, but not necessarily the best Christmas movie. So I'm going to stick with A Christmas Vacation as my number one.
Well, John, that was actually going to be my pick because I do think it's a great Christmas movie. So despite the fact that there's so many classics that I love, I wanted that film to get a mention because, for like me, some of my personal favorites, like even going back to like the 60s, right? You've got like Frosty and Rudolph, like the stop motion ones and the original like Dr. Seuss Grinch and things like that. But to me, like Die Hard is just kind of great, right? It takes place during the time of the year. You've got a great soundtrack. Some of those, classic songs are in there. You've got a naughty villain. You've got a great protagonist bringing, that justice in there. And like, who can forget like tie-ins with like the scene where, the guy comes up in the elevator and you see the, he got the gun and he wrote the thing. And he's like, now I've got a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. It's just a great movie all around that just fits right in with Christmas if you're wanting to have like a little bit of action versus the more traditional like Yuletide type of film.
Screen Junkies did a thing where they tallied up all the references that make Die Hard a Christmas movie, from how many times Christmas is mentioned, how many times someone is humming a Christmas tune, and it beats out every other Christmas movie ever for how many references to Christmas it actually has in it. So it's definitely a Christmas movie.
Well, the funny thing too, it says like retroactively it got that title, and then even here like voted greatest Christmas movie by British film magazine Empire in 2015.
Yeah, all right. So this is probably going to be a shocker. I'm torn. I wrote down like 10 movies that I love to watch every year for Christmas. Of course, Christmas Vacation is at the top of the list. Die Hard is also great pick, Mark. Scrooge is a classic. I've got so many I want to mention here. But I think the thing that makes me think of Christmas every year, and the thing I watch every year, and I've been watching for probably the past 43 years, is the 1964 claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It just doesn't seem like Christmas without that movie. I don't know. It's a classic. Everyone knows it. It's even quotable, for fuck's sake. It's a good movie. It's one of those things that's kind of like how they play Christmas Story on a loop for fucking 3 days straight. I want to see Rudolph on loop, just like that. It's a cool movie. It's weird.
I think on some channels they still do.
That's too much Rudolph.
Yeah. I love it. It's just I'm all about it.
It was played like 573 times because I think it's like a half an hour long, isn't it?
It's 50 minutes.
Okay,
yeah.
50 minutes. All right.
No, but I love watching it. It's just something that's always every year. I love watching it. But obviously, as you can see by my background, if we're going to talk about more modern movies, I love Bad Santa. I kind of look like the fucker myself if I had hair.
Monette, I have a feeling you're going to take us into a different direction with yours, but that might just be a feeling.
I have never seen Bad Santa.
Oh.
Ooh.
You need to get on that.
Recommendations at the end of this video. We're going to recommend.
I'm writing them down so that I can binge watch all of these things. I've only seen Die Hard once. I actually really loved Frosty the Snowman in addition to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I cannot get enough of that fat little jolly snowman. And him melting at the end killed me every year.
So sad.
But I was like, he'll come back when it's snowing. Calm down, people. But yeah, I mean, I love. My husband was saying that he loves, Miracle on 34th Street, It's a Wonderful Life, all those good classics. But I never see them being played anymore. But yeah, I mean, I love a good musical. So I gotta say, I don't really have a particular favorite one, but I do love watching White Christmas any chance I get, anytime it shows up, because Bing Crosby is phenomenal as a singer. Hearing him sing that song is phenomenal. Me realizing that he's 20 to 30 years older than his co-stars is hilarious to me.
He's not in blackface in that one. So
Yeah, have you seen Holiday Inn?
Holiday Inn. Are you a fan of that one?
Yeah.
Holiday Inn is
Actually on my list.
shocking.
Thanks to one whose name was Nancy Hanks, Abraham.
I know. I have to like watch myself. It's like, okay, I love all these movie musicals. I'm like, are they so dated though?
Ooh, that Holiday Inn is
Big time.
yeah,
It's
hardcore.
barely a Christmas movie.
If I have to say, the one that really got me recently though was Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I have a feeling that will be talked about later. I don't know. But when I saw that in the theater, I was just bawling, just crying. I was just like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I've never seen the effects be so beautiful. The animation was gorgeous. It was just so unexpected and so just well-rounded, such good everything. And then that scary, creepy, what is it, that cotton sack kind of guy? I forgot his name.
Such a cool design.
Yes, I love it.
So yeah, my runner up really is Nightmare Before Christmas. I love that movie. My front yard is decorated Nightmare Before Christmas. I've got 3 Jack Skellingtons.
Nice.
And I leave my Halloween decorations up, and I just convert them to Christmas decorations by putting all the Jack Skellingtons everywhere.
That's a smelly
lazy.
pumpkin.
Yeah, it's lazy, and pumpkins can last about 5 months, believe it or not.
So, Brian, what's your number one? What's your top pick?
Elf.
No shit.
It's such a nice, feel good, great movie. Pass through the 7 levels of the candy cane forest and through the swirly twirly gumdrops. It's the greatest.
Weren't we adults when that movie came out?
Yeah.
2003 or
It's
so.
about
2003, yeah.
But you got to remember the cool scenes in that movie. Like he's at the department store and there's the fake ass Santa, the bad Santa that's there, and he's
The great Artie Lang.
You smell like beef and cheese.
I smell like beef and cheese. You don't smell like Santa.
You smell like Santa.
I know him.
You sit on a throne of lies. And Zooey Deschanel, she's awesome. Great singer. That happens to be my favorite song too. Why are you smiling? Stop smiling. Smiling's my favorite.
I love the guy in the mailroom that he gets drunk with that says he's 22 years old, but he looks like he's about 55.
Does anyone have either an underrated one or a guilty pleasure?
Oh, dude, absolutely.
On the radar.
Guilty pleasure is good.
Ben, you maybe don't agree with this, but for me, kind of a guilty pleasure might be Harold and Kumar 3D.
I just think it's good.
It is good.
It's awesome.
I don't feel guilty at all.
So for a real guilty pleasure, I'm going to go with Ernest Saves Christmas.
That's terrible. No,
Don't block that from my mind.
I would say Jingle All the Way is a guilty pleasure. Just watching Schwarzenegger try to be funny for 2 hours is enough reason. Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure for sure. Anybody else have one?
Mark, you got one?
I mean, I do remember a long time ago watching The Santa Claus with I think it was Tim Allen. That wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that one doesn't age well either because in the end he kills Santa Claus. Like he murders him and then becomes.
No, I thought that was the beginning because he becomes Santa Claus.
So that's not like in this room.
I haven't seen that movie yet.
I have one.
It's history.
I have a great Christmas movie that nobody's talking about, and I didn't even think about it. I probably would have picked it as my number one. It's Gremlins.
Oh, yeah.
On my list.
Yes. Me and John did Gremlins 3 years ago. Yeah. It's a fantastic Christmas. It's got the colors and the snow.
The
Yeah.
music.
The worst Christmas present you could ever give anyone.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted to mention was the movie The Ref with
Yes, thank
Oh
God.
man,
I
that
love
was
that movie.
that's in the top 5, man. It's
That's
so
in my
good.
top 5.
I know another a whole series of movies that is around Christmas or has Christmas in it. Is all the Harry Potters. They're my
Yeah.
guilty pleasure.
They always
I watch all
feel
the Harry
Christmassy. Yeah, they always feel
Yeah,
Christmassy.
they're not, but they feel like I don't know.
Well, there's
one
always the
thing at
Christmas-
over vacation, and
Yeah, because there's always a year that goes by, so you always see the tree and the Christmas feast and the snow and all that stuff.
You know what other film that kind of fits that? Although I guess it is more on the Christmas side. Trading Places.
Yeah.
Trading Places is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I think the last act is Christmas, or the last half of it or something. But yeah, I mean, anytime like Dan Aykroyd drunk on a bus eating a salmon that he pulls out of his coat, to me that makes it a Christmas movie right there.
What about
That I just thought of it. My biggest guilty pleasure, and I'll probably get just bashed for saying this. It's Love Actually. I don't care what anybody says. I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
I know it's cheesier than shit, and it's so logical. It doesn't make any sense time frame wise, but it gives you the warm feelings, and it's
about hearing that.
downtown London, so it looks amazing.
Let's also talk about any horror movies that you guys like that are Christmas movies.
Krampus kicks
I
ass.
thought that movie sucked.
I loved it.
Dude,
I love
you guys
Krampus.
raved about that movie, and I was like, okay, Josh likes it, Ben likes it. It must be a good movie. I found it on DVD just randomly walking through Walmart, the shittiest place on earth, and I grabbed it for like fucking $9. I watched it, and I was thoroughly disappointed.
Anything else? There's other ones, right? There's good
Black
ones.
Christmas.
Black Christmas is
the number
awesome.
one classic. Started the slasher. Started the holiday-oriented slasher films before Halloween, and it's a really great, solid movie.
Yeah, it's a creepy
And
movie.
it's fucked up to watch at Christmas time. Monet, you said you there's a few you haven't seen. You're writing down. Do we want to make some recommendations for anybody out there?
I think Monette's gonna love Bad Santa. I really do. I'm not kidding. Mark, she would love Bad Santa, right?
Actually,
she's got a mouth on her. Oh,
So I might have to watch it too. Actually.
What?
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We got to do more of this. Get everyone on Zoom if it works out. We loved having you all on here, having everybody who's been on the show at some point over the 4 years we've been doing this come back and join us. Let's do this many more times in the future.
Yeah, everyone that's on here right now has done a memorable show, at least one. I just recently watched Monette's because it popped up on our feed, and she was so good on that show. It like blew away that show. So great. So thanks for coming on and humoring us and doing this. And
Sure.
yeah, and everybody has had their moments. Mark has been on it so many times. Bobek was on it before, back in the day, and then he told us to go fuck ourselves.
Don't forget me.
Well, I was getting to you, but you disappeared. Yeah.
I made this show. It's all about me.
Okay, and we're going to go out on a Christmas carol. Monette, take us away.
1, 2, 3. Jingle bells, bells, rolling late at egg. Back home, we lost his wheel and took her round away. Hey!